everyone, and welcome back to Chaos Creations. I hope everyone's been doing well. So I am sorry there's been a bit of a gap of late between videos. We've had COVID at the house, we've had some insane storms going on, other bits and pieces along the way, and everything gets moved to the side. So I've been doing a little bit of work with the Orc Gargant at the moment. I'm trying to fill in gaps, and I want to have a bit of a talk to you about that and a few other things. But before we do, last week I thought the new Necromunda Secundus was coming out in about a week. So I've been furiously painting up the terrain only to find out that it was actually 2 weeks. So this last couple of days I've been putting together my old world army and so forth. I got very lucky. I was able to pick up a bloodthirster for $30, which locally I did have a few issues. It had been chipped away at in some of the joins, so I had to use a combination of super glue and baking powder to make sure it all fit. Not particularly the best, but some person had hacked up quite severely, and it's like they were trying to put different arms in and so forth, and it just failed miserably. So I got the body, one wing attached and the head attached, and the rest of it was all chunked together like a Frankenstein, I guess. So I've done the best I can. I'll give them a bit of a dry brush in some white and some cream, and we'll go from there. So, and you'll also see in the background some of these things. These are the old Chaos Furies. Normally these things go disturbingly online for like $30 each, and then an extra $20 for packaging, which is where they sort of really take the money off you. But I was able to find a pack of 6 for $100 once again locally, so I'm very happy with that. My army is mostly Chaos Furies, so I want to get as many of these as possible. The place I go to game that's actually having a tournament soon have said they're quite happy with 3D prints as long as it represents the item properly. So that's fine. I'll do some 3D prints of some Chaos Furies as well. But the more metal and the more original I have, the better. Now, GW do bring out, I think, the Beast Box, the exotic Beast Box, which gives you cockatrices and some creatures that look very similar to these. But they're $94 and you get 6. So 6 of the haunts and 6 of the cockatrices. Just not worth it, really. I'd rather 3D print them in bulk, to be honest with you. But anyway, so before I forget 3D printing again, I 3D printed up some orcs. Now, for PLA, they're not too bad, I don't think. They're not, spectacular. But when you're doing something like, the Green Tide, now if this was resin, it would look a lot better. But for PLA, I think I'm doing pretty darn well. And all it is printed at 0.1. I printed them on their bases and like that. And it has support underneath. I think it's like 15%. Now, because orcs are big and chunky and hard, the chances of something breaking off is actually quite small. So, on the back, it's not the most prettiest, but, it is what it is. It's not too bad. It's not too bad for a PLA printer. And on the battlefield, you see 3 orcs, you're going to go, well, look, I don't like the look of those orcs because, they're 3D printed. Who's going to care? It's orcs on a battlefield. Now, I do have a disturbing amount of orcs as it is, and I also picked up an old war truck, and it has lots of, I mostly bought it not for the war truck, but it has lots of little grots and gretchens with like little oil cans and spanners in their hands and so forth. So they'll be perfect for the back of the Gargant. Once I get all the guts in and so forth, I can have them like they're oiling the cogs and so forth. Beautiful. Anyway, let's talk about the giant claw here, which is the main reason for this video. So I have been talking to a lot of 3D printer friends of mine around the world, and one of them said, look, you won't be able to sand all of it because, you've got so much amazing details and so forth. It would just take you 2 or 3 years just to sand it all perfectly. But I did agree with some of it. I can sand some of it to a certain degree, which is what I'll do. So things like, the upper parts here where the join is and such, I can just put in a little bit of what's commonly known as spack filler, which is like a goopy sort of plaster. So what I'll do is I'll get the spack filler and I'll put it in all the joins, and there are some places that have got some bigger joins. So what I'll do is the bigger chunks like here, so this is definitely going to have to be a green stuff job. There is just no way about it. Plus the fact I want it to stay nice and sturdy, so that's definitely green stuff. The smaller stuff like this, I can just get a bit of spack filler, rub it over like that. It'll get in the joins, and, a light sand or some, 1000 grit sandpaper, you're not going to know the difference. Bits like here and so forth, I don't know if you can tell, but there is, a very obvious line there for me across here. So what I'm going to do there is I can, fudge it with, putting in some orc runes plastered there, tying some like rope type stuff over it and so forth. I can mask it reasonably well. There's always going to be something there, but, you do the best job you can. So that leads me to problem number 2. I want this to be able to pull apart so I can put it to storage if I have to, or if I take it to, let's play someplace to display it, it can be pulled apart, put back together, and with minimal effort look awesome. So, the initial idea was to have chains wrapped around this part and have them dangling down and have little orcs and goblins hanging off the end of them. That is nice, but if I'm going to transport this thing, that's going to get tangled up and so forth. So I don't know what I'm going to do. Part of me says just, keep them separate and dangle it down and so forth whenever I go to a place, but that's very time consuming and it gets a little slow. Another part of me said, we'll glue it like there and then have the chain coming down and glue it there and then maybe have the goblin just at the bottom there. Once again, that's great, but if that chain snaps and I've got, a bit defying gravity and so forth, I don't know. So that's essentially where I am. Now, because I'm going to sand it, I have to wait for at least spring before I can do anything major to it. So at the moment, it's doing the magnets with the arm, and I have the magnets with the arm. I've had a few problems. I've spoken to my magnet man. He's going to order in some very specific magnets for me, which is not cheap but not expensive. But, for what I need, it's going to be perfect. I'll just glue it on, and as long as I get them the right way around, it'll not be a problem. So that's being done at the moment. So until we get a nice warmer couple of months, all I'm going to do is do the spack filling and the green stuff and adding runes here, there, and everywhere. And then once that's all done and dusted and it's ready to go, I'll take it outside and I'll start sanding bits and pieces down. Now, I don't know if you can tell, but on here, it's like very predominant. It looks like, it's like little lines. So things like that. So, I can't do the intricate work in here, but I can get sandpaper and just run it down that back and forth a few times. It's not going to get rid of all of it, but it'll get rid of most of it. And then once it's ready and it's all looking as best I can, I will get this stuff, which is a spuddy used for cars. It's called spray putty. It's powder. So you spray it on, and what it'll do is it'll make everything reasonably smooth. Now it gets into all the grooves. Now here is a grated demon of corn that I printed out. So this has got no sanding whatsoever. Excuse me. And you can tell that most of the lines are gone. So, there's always going to be some places where you're going to see some lines, but for the most part, that is a very light spray. That was originally green filament, so you can see the green is still there. But the layer lines are almost completely gone. And that's what I'm hoping when I do the gargant, that's what's going to happen too. Now, that said, it's going to take like 4 or 5 cans of... And there goes my grated demon of corn off the table. Hopefully he's right. He's hardy. He's a great demon. Bloodthirsters are like that. So hopefully that'll be enough. And once again, spraying on powder, can't do it inside, has to be done outside. And it would like a nice sunny day, because that way it'll dry reasonably quickly. As long as the outside shell is dry, that's not a problem. I can then just take it away, pop it someplace, let it dry all the way through, and away you go. And that's the biggest lesson with this stuff I've ever learned in my entire life. You've got to wait for it to dry completely all the way through. Don't let it go, oh, well, it's dry, it's been a couple of hours, and then sand and going, well, why is it all turning to sludge? Because the inner layers have not completely dried. So if I was, let's say, to spray this entire arm, I would wait a minimum 24 hours before I even touch it with sandpaper. And that's, like a warm day in summer in Australia. That way I know the fact that it's all dried out all the way through, all the way to the actual filament itself, and away we go. So that's what I'll be doing with the arm, but that won't be happening for a while. So I'm going to be magnetizing, spack filling, and then unfortunately until, I don't know, a little after my birthday in September, hopefully there'll be lots of days of like warm days, not blisteringly hot, but warm days with no rain, because that's the one thing you don't want. And I can just take it outside and just sand away and then spray, and away we go. Now there is two other things before I forget. Now let's put that someplace safe so it doesn't fall off the table like Mr. Bloodthirster. The High Fleet Secundus, anyway, the Necromunda Secundus. I've been doing some of the terrain. Now, I was going to do a terrain painting video, but we've all done it before, so it's not like it's anything new. So it's the simple design. I'll just show them beforehand. So let's just, now, Secundus is supposedly a place that is, exposed to the elements. So it's, not pretty like normal Necromunda. It's looking pretty stark, horrifying, decayed, rotting, and just generally not a very nice place to be. Now, all these pieces are 3D printed by me. I found the files for these. I purchased them from my mini factory. Good old PLA. Oh, damn it. Still bits in there. All right, so it's a simple case of you paint it black, and then you paint it a dark brown, and then you do your dry brushing in silver, and that's normal Necromunda 101. Then I upped it, and I used not a very watered down, but a somewhat watered down version of this Villaggio, whichever name it is, orange. And then all I've done is I've been a bit like I guess the nice way of saying it is a drunken painter. I've got a bigger brush than this, but I've just gone, and I just whacked it on there, and then I just get a little a tissue and then dab it off, smear it in places where I like it more, and so forth, and away you go. Once that's completely dry, you just use some of this, the Nilakine oxide from Games Workshop, and once again, that stuff is watery as all hell. And then I've just splashed it on there, randomly just, got the old big brush like this, like a really huge brush, just put a little bit on there, randomly and so forth. And then once again, you get the tissue and you dab it off, and that's the effect you get. Now, I also added some neon, which is this Villaggio stuff, and it's come out quite nicely. And I also used another blue one for these effects. So you got green and blue. Now, there are people out there that do the glow to make it look really nice, and that's wonderful. I can't do that. My skill level isn't there quite yet. And also the fact is I've done like 30 of these, 30 of those, and 20 of these. So there's a lot of them. And I thought I only had a week to paint them all before, Necromunda Secundus came out. So that's where I am now. So it comes out tomorrow. So I will get that. I will glue the gene stealers and the dudes together and then paint them up and read the rules. And then hopefully I can get a game in with some friends. We'll see how we do. They're a bit funny, my friends. It's a case of I buy lots of old world. Oh, we're going to play this now. And then I think, oh, well, I'll miss that one because I just really don't like it. And then it's, oh, we're going to do this. And I'm like, I'm going to do Necromunda. No one's doing Necromunda. I start getting into it. Oh, we want to do Necromunda too. And I'm like, yeah, okay, fine, no worries then. Anyway. So that's it. There is one more thing before I forget. And that is this orc head. Who wants it? Anybody want the orc head? Simply go below and type in what your favorite orc tribe is. And if I get more than 10 people, I'll just pick somebody at random and I'll find out where you are and I'll send it to you. It'll be a random person. I'll just, get a little system and just go, that one, bink, and you'll get it sent to you. All right? So if you're interested in this, this is 3D printed, but it's about the size of the actual resin orc gargant head. So it's actually, it's a little bit bigger. So, it's not too bad. And you can have it on your table as a bit of terrain if you like. Not a problem. Okay. Any questions, just ask. Please like, please subscribe. And like I said, put your favorite orc clan down below. And we'll go from there. And remember, love the game, love life, chaos out.